For 3 years, I felt it. The headaches that wouldn't quit, the fatigue that clung to me like a second skin, the nausea that no doctor could explain. At first, I thought it was stress, long hours at work, the endless responsibilities of family life. But the timing didn't add up. My wife, always so polished and cheerful in public, seemed oblivious to my suffering, yet something about her behavior struck me as strange. The way she would suddenly vanish for an hour, the secretive texts she deleted in a rush, and the way her mood would change whenever I brought up my health. It wasn't just my body that was under siege, it was my mind. I began noticing subtle patterns. Bottles moved, pills missing, supplements she insisted I take, but never mentioned their origin. Friends began commenting on how pale I looked, how tired I seemed. Doctors ran tests, blood work, scans, everything, but everything came back normal. Yet I knew something was wrong. It was almost as if someone was orchestrating my decline intentionally. I started paying attention, documenting every detail. I tracked the pills, the drinks, the meals she prepared. I noted the times she would insist on late-night appointments, claiming they were work-related or social obligations. And I noticed him, her lover, the man she had been secretly seeing, who, until then, had been just a suspicion, a shadow at the edges of my awareness. The pieces of a horrifying puzzle were beginning to take shape. I hired a private investigator, careful not to tip off either of them. Within weeks, the truth emerged. They had devised a plan over the past 3 years, a slow, calculated attempt to weaken me physically, socially, and emotionally, so that I would be vulnerable. The lover, someone with a medical background, had suggested supplements, diets, and routines designed to sap my energy and leave me dependent on my wife for care. She had followed his guidance meticulously, ensuring that I remained unwell enough to doubt myself, but not ill enough to require hospitalization. They had thought I would never figure it out. The evidence was chilling. Receipts for supplements that were not what they claimed, messages between her and the lover discussing dosages and timing, photos of packages she had delivered to the house but claimed were for herself. Even my doctor's notes, once anonymized and compiled, showed a pattern of unexplained symptoms correlating with her interventions. They had assumed I was ignorant, compliant, and too trusting to question the carefully constructed facade. When I finally confronted her, I did not yell, I did not cry. I let the investigator present the compiled evidence first. Messages, photos, delivery records, and medical analysis. Her face paled as the truth unfolded before her, a narrative she could not manipulate. She attempted excuses. I just wanted to help you sleep. I didn't think it would harm you. It wasn't what it seemed, but the documentation spoke louder than words. I then contacted the authorities. The lover, involved in administering substances and manipulating a spouse's health, was exposed to federal and local regulations. Law enforcement began an investigation, gathering further proof of intent, messaging logs, and corroboration from the forensic analysis of the supplements. Within days, he was arrested, and she faced potential charges for complicity. The deception, once invisible, now had tangible consequences. Her social circle, previously unaware, quickly learned of the betrayal. Friends who had trusted her began distancing themselves. Colleagues questioned her integrity. Invitations she had taken for granted vanished. The image she had carefully curated over years, charming, caring, successful, crumbled under the weight of documented evidence. She had assumed loyalty and ignorance would protect her. She was wrong. I reclaimed my life, first by regaining control of my health. Detox programs, medical supervision, and therapy restored the physical and psychological damage they had inflicted. I documented every step, ensuring that if she attempted to manipulate reality again, there would be undeniable proof. My friends and family, initially shocked by the revelation, rallied around me, reinforcing the reality that the betrayal was not mine to internalize but theirs to own. The final step was legal and decisive. I filed for divorce, ensuring that her actions, both deceptive and criminal, would impact settlements and custody arrangements. Her attempts to argue fairness were undermined by the evidence. She had spent years attempting to weaken me. Now, the law ensured she could not capitalize on her deception. In the aftermath, I realized that revenge was not about public spectacle. It was about exposing the truth in a way that was inescapable. They had planned to undermine me for years, believing that secrecy would shield them. But patience, meticulous observation, and careful documentation had turned their own plan against them. The lover's arrest, her public exposure, and the legal consequences created a ripple effect she could not control. Her world, previously orchestrated around deceit and manipulation, collapsed. Friends and colleagues were forced to confront her choices, and she faced the social and professional isolation she had long evaded. I emerged from the ordeal not just physically healed, but emotionally and strategically stronger. The experience taught me the importance of vigilance, documentation, and measured action. Betrayal can take many forms, but when carefully observed and strategically countered, it can be confronted, exposed, and neutralized. Ultimately, the 3 years of illness, deception, and manipulation ended not in despair, but in revelation and justice. She and her accomplice had underestimated me, misjudged my patience, and ignored the inevitability of truth. Their plan, designed to weaken me, became the very instrument of their downfall. And in exposing them, I reclaimed not just my health and life, but the power that betrayal had sought to steal.